Hello and welcome YouTubers and Doctor Who fanatics to the final part of the DVD collection series, which is the 7th Doctor era Sylvester McCoy. And yeah, I have completed my DVD collection, all the classic DVDs done and dusted, and boy does it feel great. So now I can just focus on the good old books and Big Finish. Yeah, this series has been absolutely fantastic, with the views on this series absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, when part 7 has been done, then I'll do a complete full DVD collection for 2016, and that may be the last DVD collection if I decide to get the new series stuff and more missing episodes get recovered and be released on DVD. I guess that might be another DVD collection, but as of now, the Doctor Who DVD collection 2016 may be the last one on the channel, so that's quite upsetting. And as well, if you didn't know, I am doing my in-depth collection on my Big Finishes, starting with the monthly range, and I'm also considering it with the Virgin books as well, to all the way to the BBC 8 Doctor ones, but that may take a while, as of course I need to collect them and then read them. Anyway, with no further ado, let's begin the 7th Doctor era. So for the introduction of the Sylvester McCoy era, the 7th Doctor era, we have the rather hated and rubbish Time of the Rani for many. Do I find it rubbish? Well, on my first go at this, I couldn't even get past part 1. When part 1's cliffhanger happened, I just turned it off. I did not want to continue. I would say the first half is really slow moving and it has no drive to story. However, I don't think it's actually that rubbish. If I was to rate it, it's like a 4 out of 10 really. Not one I would like to return to, but I wouldn't say it's rubbish, just under average. It's definitely got a lot of silly elements, and that's definitely with season 24. And I will say it is my least favourite from season 24, it's just ridiculous. It's got some nice stuff with it I do like, but not one I would like to return to. Paradise Towers, another really hated Doctor Who story, and that's all of them with season 24. However, I think this one is absolutely brilliant and underrated. I'm not quite sure why this one's actually hated, because I find it quite a lot of fun and a nice concept. I like the concept of the story. It really reminds me of a Virgin book story, as I can really see the concept of this story actually being in a Virgin book, but of course in the Virgin books it'd be a lot more gritty. But yeah, I think this one's absolutely fantastic. I like it a lot. It's got some nice pacing, nice build up to it. And it's got some really nice moments and elements in that story as well. Again, really cheesy, like Time of the Rani, but I really like this one a lot. It's one of my favourite 7th Doctor stories, TV stories wise. Really underrated Paradise Towers. I'm pretty surprised how much I like this story, because I thought it was going to be absolutely rubbish. But no, I was completely wrong. This is my favourite out of season 24, and one of my favourites out of the TV 7th Doctor stories. So that's quite a rarity to say. Delta and the Bannermen, probably one of the most silliest and bonkers stories. I've only watched it once and I don't really want to return to it again. Oh, I forgot to rate Paradise Towers. I definitely give that an 8 out of 10. Yeah, back to Delta and the Bannermen. Probably a 6 out of 10, because I did sort of enjoy it. Again, really cheesy. But I remember some scenes with these two characters being completely pointless, and I don't know why those scenes were in there in the first place. And if you watch this story with those two characters in the fields, then you know what I'm talking about. I think that was just absolutely pointless scenes and characters. I remember some of the direction in this one being quite sloppy with this green baby. A rather odd story, not one of my particular favourites again, but it's not Time of the Rani bad. So down to the second row we have the final instalment of Dragonfire, a 3-parter, and yeah, it's a pretty good story actually. Introduces us to Ace and the departure of Mel. Yeah, I say this one's pretty good. It's got a rather old cliffhanger, of course. If you've seen this story, then you know what I'm talking about. The cliffhanger is an actual cliffhanger. I do fairly enjoy this one, not as much as Paradise Towers, as that's my favourite from season 24. Again, this one is a little bit cheesy in places, but once the story actually gets going, this story's pretty good actually, Dragonfire. When it gets going, it's pretty good. Again, not one of the best, but still, it's watchable. Then to season 25, we're getting into the more better stuff in the 7th Doctor era now, with the utter perfection in a lot of people's eyes, Remembrance of the Daleks by Bannermen. And yeah, of course, it's a great story. It's definitely one of the best of the 7th Doctor era. I wouldn't rate it a 10 out of 10 like most people do. I would give it an 8, as I find it slightly overrated, but still, I can't say I hate the story, because again, this is like another unhateable story like Genesis of the Daleks, Ark in Space, City of Death. You just can't hate the story, and no, of course I don't. Absolutely fantastic direction, fantastic battle sequences, characters. It's got a lot of good stuff to talk about in this one. And it's where it features the countermeasures, who have their own spin-off series for Big Finish, and if you're a fan of Remembrance of the Daleks, then yeah, I insist you check out the Countermeasures box set, because if you love those characters and Remembrance, then chances are you're going to love them in the Big Finish spin-off series of Countermeasures. The Happiness Patrol gets rather overshadowed by Remembrance of the Daleks again, so it's not really of a popular Doctor Who 7th Doctor story, but yeah, it's alright. It was sort of nice to return to this one again, as I haven't watched this one about like 10 years ago, but then finally got the DVD. I would say I did prefer it on my first go 10 years ago, because when I watched it 10 years ago I thought it was absolutely rubbish. But it's average, like a 5 out of 10. Candy Monster just sounds like an 8-year-old child. But the original idea of it, I say, worked, but execution wasn't really quite there, unfortunately. But still average story, watchable. Silver Nemesis, my least favourite classic Cyberman story. It's just a little bit tatty and rubbish, really, and it's just so many elements in this one. It's so compacted, there's just so much in the story, and it just doesn't know what to really do. Yeah, one of my least favourites of the 7th Doctor era. Don't really want to return to this one. There wasn't really anything I liked too much about it, except for the CGI effects, and the direction I thought was quite good. The rest of it, I just thought it was rather tatty, really. Yeah, quite of a cheap Doctor Who story, because it feels like they blew all their budget in Remembrance of the Daleks and they had absolutely nothing in the Silver Nemesis, so it just looks so cheap and tatty. Yeah, it really did not live up to expectations when this was originally transmitted. The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, a absolutely underrated Doctor Who story. It's actually, I would say it's mixed opinions, really. Some people don't really like it, but some people do like it. But this is definitely one of the best 7th Doctor stories. I would say it's one of the more creepier 7th Doctor stories as well. Having a fear of clowns will be quite funny in this story as well, and the chief clown is absolutely excellent, the gods of Ragnarok as well. And I thought the filming location was really bleak and desolate, and also the robot clowns as well. Quite of a creepy psychedelic story from what I can remember. I really need to rewatch this one again, but I thought it was absolutely incredible. And a good old 7th Doctor walking away from the Greatest Show in the Galaxy with an explosion behind him. Looks really badass. Yeah, really nice direction and a really well written story. Battlefield by Ben Aranovich, with the return of Gene Marsh to Doctor Who, so that's pretty nice. And as well the return of Nicholas Courtney with the 7th Doctor and the Destroyer as well. Yeah, it's a pretty good story, but there's some things I don't like about it. And it feels quite unique out of the 7th Doctor era, so that's quite nice. But again, it's not really one of the most memorable stories. It's got a unique idea, but it doesn't really stick in your head because it's rather dull in some places, in my opinion. And some elements were underused. As I said, the Destroyer was underused. Ghostlight by Mark Platt, which was the last Doctor Who story to be filmed. The rather complicated story when it gets to, episode 3, it gets rather paradoxical a little bit. Yeah, I need to rewatch this one, because people say the more you watch this one, the more you actually like it. Honestly, I was a little bit lost of what was actually going on, and it didn't really keep my attention too much, this story by Mark Platt, Ghostlight, so this one definitely needs to be rewatched, absolutely. Again, this is where the stories turn a little bit more darker now with Curse of Fenric and Survival. But yeah, it really needs to be rewatched, this one, so I'll really just give it a 5 out of 10 right now. So not going to put a full rating on it just yet. Curse of Fenric by Ian Briggs. Is it? Yeah, it's by Ian Briggs. And this is the best 7th Doctor story by miles, in my opinion. It's just absolutely fantastic, plot driven, character driven. It's just one of the best Doctor Who stories in the 80s. It's fantastic. 7th Doctor really dark and manipulative. Fenric, a fantastic villain. The Humivores are great as well. Some of their costumes are a little bit tatty, but the Great One looks good, but he was underused, which is unfortunate. And a lot of nice character development for Ace. It's a really nice story, and it's the only story to be featured in World War II for the classic era. You're just absolutely incredible, this one is. Definitely pick this one up for a really good dark 7th Doctor story. And then we have Survival to end off the classic series. And no, not really the way I would want the classic series to go. I wish season 27 happened, but it didn't. Survival's alright. Definitely doesn't live up to the penultimate classic episode of Curse of Fenric. If this was the last Doctor Who episode, then that would just be a fantastic end for the classic series. But yeah, this one's just rather underwhelming and average. It features the Master, not really one of his best performances here. I do prefer Ainley's Master in other Doctor Who 80s stories. It's rather unfortunate, the last one's rather underwhelming to me, about a 5 out of 10. It's just a bit unremarkable for me. And I might as well cover the TV movie. Yeah, underrated, I quite like. Yeah, Paul McGann is definitely the best thing about the TV movie, The 8th Doctor, and of course, check out his big finishes. As well, Grace is quite a good companion, and the Master, not really in this one. He's still a good actor, but he just doesn't really play the Master all too well. It's got some nice direction, nice moments. I give it a 7 out of 10 because I do enjoy it, but there are a lot of things which you can talk bad about this. But I still think it's a good TV movie. Again, the best thing about this is definitely Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor. And yeah, that's it. I haven't watched K9 and Company, Girl's Best Friend. I don't really want to. And I haven't watched the documentary either, and I put the Lost in Time by here now. So yeah, that's the classic DVD collection series done and dusted. I guess the last thing to ultimately end the series is do a full DVD collection of 2016, as I've got all the classic DVDs now, so that's absolutely fantastic. And you can see I've got my Virgin books by here. I've actually moved them because space for me is actually quite of an issue with my growing Big Finish collection, rapid growing Big Finish collection, books as well, so I've really just been organising now with Virgin books by here now, BBC books somewhere else, and then Big Finish having their own shelf. Yeah, definitely look for the showcase video because I've got a hell of a lot of good books to show you, some really good rare ones as well. Anyway, thanks very much for watching my DVD collection series, which is part 7 Sylvester McCoy era, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.